Hi everyone, McBeard here. If you've been following me on Twitch lately, you'll know that I have been really into Genshin Impact. It's a new RPG, kind of single-player MMO experience that's recently come out, and I'm deep in it. I'm a big fan of the format, and I'm a big fan of the combat. It's a very relaxing game, and I've really enjoyed streaming it. A lot of diehards also coming into Twitch as well, so shout outs to all of you that are watching right now. You know who you are. And it's become a pretty active chat. I've been streaming for quite a lot. Something you'll notice right away about this game, though, if you've gotten into it recently, is the overwhelming amount of information that might get in the way of you really understanding what's happening. So I would like to omit as much of that confusion and give you a clear path to getting right into the heart of the game. And hopefully this video does it for you. If this is the first video you've ever seen from me, first of all, great to have you. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I am also a Gwent content creator, and I do a lot of content about that game as well. But I've been putting a lot of time into this game, and people have been asking me, what is this game and how can I get into it? This video is for you. Hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy the content, please let me know below. Your feedback is really important whenever I want to cover a new game a little bit. So let me know below and enjoy the video, my friends. Welcome to Genshin Impact, my friends. This is a new RPG that is out from MiHoYo, a Chinese studio that is put together a pretty amazing game for a lot of reasons. Not just amazing like you need to play it, it's amazing, but amazing because of what it really is. It's a free game that has a huge scope. It offers hours and hours of entertainment at no price tag whatsoever. And it's revolutionizing a kind of game that is known as Gacha, which is essentially a different style of loot box, different style of card pack, different style of way of purchasing a pack to increase your progress in the game. However, unlike a card game, you don't need to ever purchase. And in fact, a lot of players really take a lot of pride in being free to play. So what we're going to be doing with this account is never paying any money. So a lot of people prefer to do that. And I think that for the most part, I will continue following this free-to-play account just so you can see exactly where I go with $0 spent. Because I'll be honest, on my main account, I have spent a couple of cents. So you start off on the beach and you're immediately in the game. You're exploring, you get experience for exploring, you find resources at all times when you're exploring. In a lot of ways, the game rewards you for exploring more than it rewards you for anything else. Quests come and go, but the world is left to explore forever. And it's a very big world. You unlock a number of teleports and waypoints, and this world is huge. And you might be saying, boy, this sure looks like Breath of the Wild. Well, the first area here, Mondstadt, does look very much like Breath of the Wild. But if you give it a little bit of time, and you kind of get over the graphic style and the fact that it does share a lot of similarities graphically and gameplay-wise with Breath of the Wild, you'll quickly know that... Oh, I have to listen to her here. You'll quickly understand that there's a lot more to it. It's very deep, and it's a very different kind of game altogether. It's more akin to something like Diablo or Path of Exile, where you're constantly building up your character and running harder and harder things until it pushes the limit of your character. So as a min-maxer, you would be much more interested in investing, dumping like a lot of time and resources and grinding your characters to an incredibly high level so you can push it very hard. If that's not your thing and you just want to be a casual player, that's fine too, because all of the story is very easy to experience within a very realistic amount of time invested and zero money invested. The game is absolutely gorgeous. And one of the first things I thought is, this game doesn't look like it's free at all, but it is. In fact, I just installed this, or I just created this new account for this free-to-play tutorial starting guide. Now, one of the first things I tell you to do, if you're like me, you don't really like the dialogue in this game. The characters are... I would say that this world is a fantasy world of optimistic warfare. Oh no, what are we gonna do? We have to stop these people. Oh, let's think about it. You know, it's just, after a certain amount, you don't really want to listen to it that much. I'm fine reading it. I'm an old school RPG player. I'm used to reading my dialogue. So Paimon is probably the most annoying part of it. She's basically Navi. Hey, listen. If you turn off dialogue, you don't have to listen to anybody. The voice acting is decent, but I find that it's not worth it. The extra bonus of turning off the dialogue is that you're not going to get your characters going like, yeah, and like grunting and squealing when they climb or do anything at all. So you might prefer that, as I do. It greatly allows me to enjoy the game much more. So this little tutorial part that I'm doing right now is honestly, this is the game. The game is very much on rails. You have to follow Paimon, and you have to get to the city in the distance there to Mondstadt. And then the story starts to be told. You meet a bunch of new characters. You start to go through the story arc. And this is based on a pretty popular anime, I believe. And I find that the story is, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's enough to keep me engaged and interested in the world as it unfolds. Now, here's an example of just exploring. You see a treasure chest. You're going to climb anything and everything to get this treasure chest. Inside is going to be a number of things, and immediately you're going to not know what any of this stuff is. And that is the stuff that I'm going to go through in just when we get to Mondstadt. But what I want to say is, if you want to get into the meat of the game and you don't want to spend too much time in the menu not really understanding what's going on, it's going to ask you to equip your artifacts. It's basically going to try to get you preoccupied with information that you can't do anything with. I would suggest just doing what it asks, but just don't worry about it for now. This game is about menus, stats, numbers, and convoluted information that's very much on purpose to be convoluted. It's supposed to be difficult to understand, because when it's difficult to understand, you don't really know how to evaluate the resources you have at your disposal and how to invest it. Now, that doesn't really put you in a bad spot if you invest your resources incorrectly, but if you come at it with knowledge, you can do much better earlier, and you can do much more with much less, which, when you're playing free-to-play, is exactly what you want to do. So, we are in the land of Mondstadt. It is the land of wind, in a world of 7 regions. Each region is represented by a different element. Wind, which is known as Anemo, Electro, Hydro, Pyro, Geo, Cryo, and Dendro. So, lightning, fire, earth, plant, ice, water, and wind. Those are the 7 regions, of which there are only 2 in the game right now, and the game world is already very large. Every single one of these waypoints you find, every single one of these chests you open, every single one of these statues you talk to, all of the quests you do, all increase your adventure rank. The adventure rank is really the core to your entire game. You get a lot early, and you start to slow to a halt later. But most of the aspects of the game open up at different adventure rank gates. So right now, if you notice me open up my menu earlier, I only have, the menu is actually quite sparse. For a game like this, an Asian game that is a gacha game that has just a number of different ways to bombard you and overwhelm you with information, a lot of this game comes from deciphering the menu and knowing exactly where you need to be looking at all times. So these little tutorial enemies are not going to give us any issues. We're being asked to use our E skill, which is our elemental burst. And then you have, that's your elemental skill. And the elemental burst is your ultimate ability, your Q ability. Hiya! So the cool thing about the wind-based Traveler is, I really like that attack. I actually like the Traveler, the wind-based Traveler, and you could do much worse. Important message, press this, do that. Again, you're going to be bombarded with information and things to do and how to control the game, because there's going to be a lot of stuff to look at on your screen. This thing, this thing, this thing. What's this over here? What's this? What's over here? Open up my menu. Wow, there's 12 squares to look at. That's why I'm asking you just to chill. Let's get to Mondstadt. Okay, it really wants me to do stuff with the menu, but let's just get to Mondstadt, and we'll get our bearings. And we're going to have at least the resources at hand where I can actually show you how the mechanics of the game work. The main thing you want to do is follow the road, get acclimated to the game, open every chest you see, but don't worry about over-exploring for now, because there's still a lot of story that's happening here, as you can see. What is that? Here's an example of the many, many materials you'll need to collect, and the only way you can collect dandelion seeds is with wind abilities. And then we meet the Hilla Trolls. Yeah, they look pretty similar to Boglins or whatever from from Breath of the Wild, and they are. But you will learn to love these guys because they are just the punching bags that you get to exercise some really great combat with. I think the combat in this game is really great. All the elements interact with each other in different ways. There is a combination, an elemental combination of each of the 7. Like if you set plants on fire, they burn. If you electrocute something cold, it has lower defense. If you electrocute something that is wet, it takes constant electro damage. So you'll come across a lot of these camps, and just like in games like Far Cry or Metal Gear or whatever, you clear the camp and you get a prize. In most cases, you can see if the camp has a chest you haven't opened yet. These chests don't respond. Well, the common chests come back, but most of the other chests never come back. So the issue with the game is that it's going to give you a lot of resources at first and early that don't come back. So managing your early resources is very important for that reason. Already adventure rank 3 before we even get to Mondstadt, but of course that's very much on purpose. It's always giving you knowledge, it's always telling you to look at your menu, and you should. Every time you look at your menu, it gives you some resources. But again, this game has already told you about all these resources and gems and artifacts and coins, and what are we even talking about yet? And it's very understandable that you're bombarded with information, but Asian games don't really hold hands sometimes. It expects you know a lot of stuff because you know the style of game, perhaps. Now we get to meet our new best friend, Amber. She is the first character that joins our party. Amber's doing her stuff. She's a cool character. She is arguably, I mean, she's the first character you get, and even with levels and ascensions and great weapons, you will find that her skill set is lacking. So I would say that you are more likely to replace Amber than any other party member if you get any in a wish, and you probably don't want to invest too much into Amber. She's one of the only characters I'll say that about. In the free-to-play world, we may be using Amber for quite some time. Boom! New character, Amber. So Amber is a 4-star unit, of which there are 2 different kinds of units, 4-star and 5-star units. Main character is a 5-star unit. There isn't a lot, there is really nothing different about a 4-star and a 5-star unit outside of the rarity of finding these characters in your game. So this game works as a party system. You have 4 people in your party, but you only have 1 of them present at any given time. It's just teaching you how to aim. Every teleport waypoint you touch, you get experience, you get gems, you get a lot of currency. You walk into Mondstadt feeling real rich. And now you have to clear your first camp here, so you're going to learn a little bit about how and the elements will react to each other. So I'll use Amber. Amber's skill is throwing this doll, which actually taunts the Hilla Trolls. And then they explode and create a bunch of fire. And when there's fire on the board... This is so funny. When there's fire on the board, now all my wind effects have a swirl effect on fire. All wind basically takes on the element and is amplified by the element that it's touching. You can only ever have 2 elements interact with each other, though. So if something already has that Hilla Troll right before he died, I hit it with a flaming arrow, so it had pyro on it. So the next thing that would hit it would complete the effect, and then that would be the status effect. But once we get into Mondstadt, I'll start doing the beginner's tips stuff. But I feel like Mondstadt is like the real hub where we can look at everything that we've gathered up until this point. Because this entire first part is about giving you it's trying to teach you as much as possible, as fast as possible. But the good news is, I don't need to be taught, and I can do you the teaching. I can do you the teaching. I can do better teaching and faster teaching than maybe this game might be able to do. Now, I'm not recommending you speed through the tutorial, but I'm just saying that for the purposes of this video. So it's like telling you about leveling up your characters, and this is where it gets very deceiving. Because from a Western RPG standpoint, you get experience by killing things, you kill enough monsters, you get levels. That's not how this game works. In fact, you would be fooled already because your main character is already level 3, and you've only killed a couple of enemies. But that's not really how the game works. So this is the kind of knowledge that I'm planning on arming you with. You'll see a lot of situations in the world where you'll need a very specific element to help you open a chest or solve a puzzle. This is cool and also not that cool. The cool part is, naturally, it means that you kind of have to think about how you're exploring and what you need to do out there. The not cool part is a lot of it has to do with fire, And sometimes you just don't want to use Amber in your party, and you really need to have Amber a lot in the early game. Whoops. Because you need to have fire, you need to have wind, you need to have ice, and you need to have lightning. And that's why the free-to-play characters are all of those elements. So imagine you're playing Diablo. You just got to Tristram. You're playing PoE. You just got to Lion's Gate or whatever it is. You're playing Warcraft. You just got to Goldshire Abbey. This is like going to be the main hub. You're going to get a lot of quests, but it's not going to feel too MMO-like because, like I said, this isn't about doing things for people as much as it's doing the exploring. Your adventure rank is more based on the amount of exploring you do, the chests you open, the quests you complete in your adventurer's book, which you'll get, I think you get all this stuff early on in the game. And you set out on a path just to start kind of playing the game your way. And that's one of the reasons why this game is so chill and nice, is if you want to go north and see what's up beyond that hill, that's fine. You're not wasting your time. You're going to get a bunch of levels. If you go north, east, west, south, you're going to find a bunch of chests. You're going to find a bunch of enemies. You're going to probably find a bunch of, there's daily quests as well. But remember, this game is climb anything. You really can. You can find shortcuts everywhere, as long as you have the stamina to climb. And remember, every time it tells you to look at your menu, do it. It'll reward you. It actually gives you basically a penny every time it teaches you something. These primo gems are something that will become very, very important to you later. But we're going to just take a look at, I'm going to show you a little secret here as well that you may not have ever known, even the seasoned players right now. So that'll be my first tip. Get this chest. Oh, you can find it pretty easy because there's a sparkle right here. There's no actual time limit, so you don't have to do it fast if you keep following. Now, this is a luxurious chest. So here's the thing about the luxurious chest. The luxurious chests are actually the best chests in the entire game. They are at limited supply. So when you find one, it's a big deal. All those items are quite relevant to getting ourselves to a very fast spot early. Because we just picked up a Berserker's Indigo Feather, which is, yeah. I'm going to show you how to basically take your damage. You basically multiply your damage by 8 or 10 early on. And I'm going to show you how these characters can carry you. But you still have to go through all this early stuff, right? This is the early slog that they want to make sure that you're ready to go through every time you re-roll. Teaches you how to glide. So gliding, just like in Breath of the Wild, is a big part of traveling. Really just one more awesome kind of zen chill. And the music's great too. But all is not well in Mondstadt, my friends. All is not well. Angry Dragon. Angry Dragon. So yeah, this is the necessary story stuff. Sends you into this wild cinematic here. Actually, it's pretty cool. Actually, now that I'm experiencing it again here, and yeah, it's only 12 gigs as well. It's also on mobile. Yeah, I always thought this part was very strange. This part of the game is not really like any other part of the game. You maybe have to do something like this one other time. But if you think that this is kind of like a weird part, it is. It's all very much, a lot of stuff happens at once. That's why it helps to hang out with some people that know what they're talking about a little early on. Panzer Dragon. Yeah, Panzer Dragon, Darklight. Who is this tall gentleman? It's our boy Kaya, the next member of our party. Another character that you are given for free. That will help you in the early game and late game as well, because he is of the cryo element. And cryo is not super common. It is a bit more now. They just added a new cryo character, and the cryo character is actually available at an increased rate on your wishes. But if you don't get that character, or any of the other cryo characters, Kaya is going to actually end up being a problem solver for you much later in the game, where cryo damage is one of the only ways for you to progress. So keep that in mind, but also keep in mind that Kay is not a great unit, but often underrated unit. I like Kea, but he's a one-handed swordsman, much like the main character. So I always felt that he was missing a little bit of that unique flair. Now we're leaving Mondstadt, and upon leaving Mondstadt, you're actually starting to progress through the story. You're going to be doing a lot of fighting. You're going to actually need something that does damage. So the first thing is, talk to Catherine. She's a receptionist at the Adventurers Guild, and she will give you a big pile of loot just for being you. Because you're already Adventure Rank 2. Boom. Adventure Rank 3. All right. Adventure Rank 4. 50 Primo Gems. Wow, don't get used to this. Your Adventure Rank does not give you Primo Gems most of the time. An Aquian Fate, or sorry, the other Fate. Don't get used to this either. You'll see them, but not that often. So we've only been given 2 Aquian Fates, but we are going to actually get a lot of these later. I'm going to hold on to the wishes, actually. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all of these at once so I can talk about everything that happens at once. The point of this is to not be piecemeal. First and foremost, you have the level. You can only go up to level 20, but you will ultimately be ascending these characters up to 6 times. Myself, I've only actually gotten up to the 5th star. The 6th star is very far away for a lot of people. But the level determines your attack, your baseline stats. Since you will be stuck at a level 20 cap for a very long time, there is nothing wrong with smashing a bunch of experience into your main character and getting them as high level as possible, because once they're level 20, they're not going to go any higher. This is the only really reliable way you can actually level up your characters. But this is all we've been given for now. Now you can see our base attack is 59. Let's go further than that. Let's talk about the artifacts. So every character has a number of pieces to them that require individual refinement. And that's why a lot of this game is played in the menu. Every character has levels, a weapon that they use, 5 pieces of gear that they equip, and levels on their talents, as well as something called constellations. For the most part, constellations and talents, you won't worry about those for a really long time. The artifacts, however, this is how you get an early jumpstart in a lot of the early game. So, like I said, we have 59 attack. Let's go and hit something and see how much damage that does. All right, here we go. So, 57 attack, we said, right? Well, I'm doing like 12 damage, right? 12 damage a strike. You know, it's pretty good for these level 3 slimes. But what if there is a way to fast track extreme damage from the very start of the game? Well, there is. So, every character has 5 pieces of gear, but the most important piece of gear at the beginning is the feather. Why is it the most important piece of gear at the beginning? It is because it always offers you attack. Even the very first one you picked up. 8 attack on this thing. Obviously, a 1-star, the star of an item denotes its quality. So 1-star items are essentially garbage. 2-star items are also pretty much garbage at all times. The only items that you're ever going to want to invest any points in at the beginning are 3-star and up items. You'll find 3 stars early if you find luxurious chests, because they always have 3-star items in them. And finding a feather early is great. And the reason why the quality matters is because of scaling. This Adventurer's Tail Feather, when you equip it, it gives you 8 attack. When you equip the 3-star version, it gives you 28 attack. And every time you enhance this feather, well, I don't have a lot of resources to do that, but it's going to dramatically increase your base attack. However, without any resources, I can't show you that. But through the magic of video, So this is where I'm going to come back from like a cut that I did. All right, folks. So we are done like the opening tutorial area. We've done the first three. Dungeons. We've got our party of 4: Amber, Kaya, and Lisa. And we have some resources in hand. And now I'm going to tell you at this point, you will be told that you are trying to push up your adventure rank and you have a bunch of quests. And you're going to be doing a lot of fighting and a lot of clearing camps and a lot of exploring. So how do you get to a point where you can effortlessly fight? Well, the game would have you believe that it takes a lot of investment and a lot of work, but you actually just need to know where to go. And that is the feather artifact. So these enemies don't seem very hard. They don't seem like they would be too hard to kill, considering I have basically nothing going for me. So you will find exploring to be, it's not going to be that hard in the first place. So we have 61 base attack. So what happens if I make this number a little higher? Like I said, there's a lot of opportunities to just put levels into the character. And like I said, you want to get a character up to level 20 as soon as possible. You can really just use it all. When it comes to the artifact, head to your feather, grab the best 3-star feather that you have, which in most cases is going to be the Berserker's Indigo feather, because having the Berserker's 2-piece set, the crit rate is not bad. And generally, don't worry about these stats underneath, but I will tell you about enhancing the feathers. So these pieces of gear, flower, feather, timepiece, goblet, and headpiece, this is basically your gear. 5 pieces of gear, that's it, that's all. The feather is always an attack piece of gear. So when you enhance the feather, you're enhancing the flat attack. So we had 61 attack. You just saw me take something on. What happens if I take this up a couple of levels? Well, first of all, every single level, my flat attack is going up by 8. But I am still going to be putting everything into this. You might think, okay, I've got like all these pieces of gear here. I can put these on my characters. I can figure out what sets go with what, and I can figure out how this works. But really what you should be doing is funneling all your gear into your feather. And I'll show you the extent of what just a little bit of leveling on a feather can do. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that once we get 4 levels, we get a new substat. This is important for your gear later when you're trying to craft like the perfect piece of gear. And you have to hope, and there's a lot of RNG. But your early gear, don't worry too much about that. But what you should take note of is the base attack on the feather. 60? Are you saying that if I put this feather on my character, well, now I have 130 attack. So let's see how these Hilla Trolls will stand up to... Oh, wait, I didn't even do... The other thing I didn't do is equip a little bit of a better weapon. You start off with a dull blade, but you'll probably get a 3-star weapon on the way up. This is not a great sword, and you should probably not level it up too much or at all, but you do want to switch your sword because the base attack of the dull blade is 23, base attack of the handy sword is 40. Again, the better the rating, the better it scales. Similar thing here. Base attack 40 on the sword, but you're saying if I put a bunch of levels into it, I get double? The blacksmith will help you get a bunch of these enhancement crystals. Well, now my attack, what's my attack at now? Oh my god, now it's 187. Just moments ago, it was 50. And all I did was use the resources given to me by the game to put into the character. So let's see how Zoe does against these Hilla Trolls. I have a feeling they're not going to last very long. Boom, boom, boom. So you will find that the best thing that you can upgrade, in closing, the best stat that you can upgrade in the early game is flat attack. Flat attack numbers. Later on, you're going to want percentage numbers. When you start seeing 4 digits, maybe you want to see 5, you're going to need big percentage numbers on crit rate, crit damage, and attack damage. Physical damage or your elements supported damage. But that's like the first quick tip I'll give you. Probably one of the most important tips for actually progressing. The second thing I should probably tell you about is this stuff here, the Animoculus. So I am opening up not just any teleport waypoint, but a statue. A statue is very special. When you go to a statue, you're healed. Second of all, when you get something called the Animoculus, and you offer it to the statue, you will get to level up the statue. When you level up your statue, your stamina increases, which means you can climb more, glide more, and your charged attack, which is holding down your left click, that is also takes stamina. So you want a lot of stamina. You'll notice you need more Animoculus, and you'll need more and more and more and more and more until you found everyone on the map and your statue is level 10. Same thing happens in the other region. So 10 statue levels, and you can start exploring and getting these Animoculus immediately. I'm gonna fall off this tree, aren't I? You'll find like 3 or 4 of them right here in this tree, right by the very first statue. You will be invited to climb this giant tree. Ah, there it is. So there's one there. Like I said, they show up on your map. And later on, you can increase your reputation with the city that allows you to find these a bit easier. Oh, and this one, you'll probably wonder, how am I supposed to get this? These little fireflies here, when you collect 3 of them, it creates a little updraft. Also, you'll notice in this area, immediately, you're seeing puzzles that you can solve, right? You're seeing, okay, there's a fire pillar. You just zap with your main attack. She doesn't have very good range, does she? And Kay can take care of the frost pillar. Rewards upon rewards upon rewards. You will spend the first many hours of the game opening chests and chests and chests and chests. But it's good, because you get all of this enhancement ore. And just even with that stuff I got out of that chest, I can bring up my feather probably by another level or so. But really, you're going to have 3 members of your party that are going to be doing status effects, offering you support, healing, shields. But for a long time, one unit is going to do the big work. So now you're exploring and you're stuck, and now you need adventure rank 10 to do anything else. What do? You explore. But there's something else about this game that you're going to find out very quickly, is that this game likes to hide all sorts of stuff to do and all sorts of loot in the menu. And I'll show you what I mean. The menu is full of a bunch of different stuff to look at. For the most part, this is just help you manage your resources. Obviously, your inventory has all your resources. Your achievements keep track of your achievements. Duh. Character archive, you get to see every character in the game that's currently available. This is a new feature, but in case you want to kind of pick up, like, oh, I like this character, I like this character, I like this character, you know? You can take a look at that stuff now, and that's great. But what you want to look at all the time, every day, be sure to check, even if there isn't an exclamation point on it, events. Every day, check your events, because there are events a lot of the time. Go into events, look at this. There's a whole bunch of loot. First of all, you can take a look. I don't think you can do this, because this is like a late game thing. You can take a look. You got some story quests. Seize the day. Now, this is log in every day, or log in 7 days out of the next 14 days. Loot. 300 Primo Gems, which is equivalent almost to 2 rolls, and you get a little reward right away. Hero's Wit. It's a massive amount of experience for any character you want. And then if you wanted to try some of the new characters that you don't have, maybe find a new character that you really like, you go down to the test run, you can try out Tartaglia, and by doing so, you're paid. They pay you to try it. Try out Diona, get some experience. Try out Beidou, get some weapon enhancement materials. Try out Niguan, get some money. It's in your interest to do all of these. It doesn't take very long. And they're usually pretty fun because they have crazy stats and you get to see massive numbers. But don't be fooled. You do have to do work on these characters for them to achieve what you see in these trials. Then you have the notices. And in your notices, this is mostly news. It's all going to be new to you, and it's just going to be a whole list of news. But don't worry too much about the notices for now. But then there is the mail. Well, the mail has lots of good stuff. Check this every day. Anytime there's an inconvenience of any kind, a bug fix, downtime, you will get Primogems, which is basically currency. Also, 3 million pre-registration milestone reward. Here's where the fates are. Here's where you get the 10 rolls. A little bit away from an adventure rank, but let's check the wishes out. This is the fun stuff. So for the re-roll here, now you've gotten all your beginner quests done, and you've probably done a bunch of other stuff as well. You have an amount of Primogems, certainly, and about 12 wishes here that you'll be able to use. Now, you always have to wish on this banner with what's known as the blue fates. The pink fates, this is what you're going to want to get all the time. The blue fates don't offer anything special. They don't offer any increased rates on any characters. They don't offer any increased rates on anything. The banner offers increased rates here on characters, and the epitome banner offers increased rates on weapons. For the most part, you are going to want characters first and foremost, and you probably will get a character if you wish 10 times on the Wanderlust Invocation. These are a bunch of free wishes. When you go into the gift shop, when you go into Paimon's Bargains, which is a terrible name for a shop, here's where you can get your pink fates. Just always, even if you think you want something on another banner, buy the pink fates first. So we can afford 2 pink fates. So we're going to be rolling 14 wishes. Let's start off with the Wanderlust Invocation. Let's do our 10 wishes and see what we get. We're guaranteed to get an epic, and we're going to get an epic. So when you do these wishes, most of these wishes are 3-star weapons. You will get so many of these things, you will not even know what to do with them all. But they will still have a purpose. Every time you make a wish, you get an item, which you're either going to use or you're going to use it as fodder to enhance something else. And you're also going to get something called Stardust, which is something you can spend later on even more stuff. So consider this wish runoff. This is like leftover wish that you can use for more wishes or more items. For a spellcasting character, for a two-handed sword character, two-handed sword character, two-handed sword character, bow user. But one of these is a brand new character or a 4-star weapon. The first character we're going to unlock is Barbara. Now, Barbara is a character you're going to get for free anyway. But if you unlock Barbara and get a duplicate of Barbara, you get what's known as her constellation bonus. Every character has up to a 6 constellation bonus that makes them much more versatile and powerful. 2 more wishes here. Ah, another epic wish. This is great. Another character, perhaps? It is going to be Xingqiao. Xingqiao is another water-based unit. This is a cool support unit, and I think if I had to pick between Barbara and Xingqiao, I'm going to pick Xingqiao this time because Barbara is pretty maxed, has a lot of strength on my main account. And then we have 2 more wishes here on the special banner, and that leaves us with this Masterless Star Glitter, which you can spend down here. Here at the Star Glitter Exchange. Sorry, at the Stardust Exchange. You'll notice that the Stardust can be exchanged for yet even more wishes. You should take these because you only get 5 a month. So go ahead and take them. So this means that we can get 2 more wishes here on the pink fates. But you also can get a bunch of other Ascension materials that are used to enhance and refine your weapons and characters. But it's going to be very overwhelming at first. So you're probably not going to worry about ever buying these from the exchange. Now, as you're watching me do these wishes, you might wonder, well, what are the odds? What are the odds, and should I really be worried about pulling rare or legendary items? The odds aren't great. However, there is an inevitability to it that may make you comfortable with maybe 1 starter purchase. And the inevitability of it is in the details. This game, like I said, is going to try to overwhelm you with a ton of information, and it's going to give you these essays of stats to read. let me just tell you what you need to know when you're wishing on these banners. Every feature banner has 4 main characters that have a higher percentage to appear than any other character. 3 of those are purple characters, epic 4-star characters, and the other one is going to be a 5-star, also known as a Nat 5 in a lot of other gacha games, feature character. Every 10 rolls, you're going to get at least 1 purple roll. So no matter what the odds are, out of 10, you always get a purple roll. Same thing applies to 90 rolls. Now, you just watched me do 15 rolls real quick, and I just started the game. Surely 90 won't be far away. Yeah, 90 rolls is a lot of rolls, and it is actually a lot of money as well. The only reason why you're more likely to get to the Pity legendary when you, like, it's very similar to in Gwent, where a legendary card is guaranteed to appear after at least 50 kegs. This is much worse than that. Legendaries are far more uncommon, highly coveted, game-changing units and abilities. However, if you go in, make some purchases, some microtransactions, and you do your rolls, you'll find that you will get a number of characters, and sometimes you'll hit the banner character. Now, there's the unfortunate news that, let's say you get a legendary drop on this banner, it's still a 50-50 chance that it's even going to be Tartaglia, the feature guy right now. But for the most part, every 5-star unit in this game is excellent. And now that we have the archive, we can see all of those units in the character archive. So here is Tartaglia right here. That's what he looks like, how he stands, how his shit blows in the wind, you know? But of course, there's also Klee. Klee and Venti you won't be able to roll on because they're featured characters that aren't available. But 5 other characters that you could always potentially see as your 5-star character: Keqing, Mona, Chi-Chi, Diluc, and Jean. All of these characters are very good. Chi-Chi is probably the least powerful, but a very strong support unit that is just really strong in a lot of ways. Jean is an extremely strong support unit that can be a main DPS as well if you gear her well. Diluc is one of the strongest DPS units in the entire game. Mona is an interesting unit. I have her. And Keqing is another very good unit that I use as my main character because I have been lucky enough to roll her. Now, if I was free to play, and I am on this particular account, this would be it. This would be what I would be working with. So I would plan my party out from here. Now, look at all this other stuff we got for the wishes. What are we going to do with all these other weapons? Well, now that we're going to start the game, we're probably going to want to equip our characters with something that makes them a bit more powerful. So we're going to lose a little experience here. But let's max out our main character. Level 20 out of 20. She's not getting any stronger from here for a while. She's got a weapon that is okay, but we're much more interested in the Harbinger of Dawn. Just because it has a better substat, and some other character can use, like, we'll just give this to Xing Chao. But this will be our new main weapon. Boom. And now we have a maxed out weapon. But there's more. We have a duplicate of this weapon. What happens when you have duplicates? Well, when it comes to characters, you get special bonuses. But when it comes to weapons, you get to refine it. And when you refine a weapon, you upgrade its text, basically. It doesn't do anything about its base attack. Doesn't do anything about its crit damage. But it does change the blue text on any of the weapons. So in this case, the blue text is the 14% here. It's going to increase the crit rate by 17.5. All weapons can be refined 5 times. So now my main character is level 20 out of 20 with a sword that is 20 out of 20. And that attack at 50 before, it's now 4 times as high. It's at 200. And I've barely done anything. I've barely actually done anything. It's mostly been the tutorial, the story on the rails, and resources that's been given to me. In fact, it's been completely that. This character can do lots. You might even find that the game is very easy once you do something like this. Don't worry, the game continues to evolve. So I feel like I just want to show you guys one more time how much damage and how you just melt through the game like butter if you just apply these early steps. Because at this point, with my main character, I shouldn't have to put any resources into anything for a while. This game is it functions on a very interesting party system, an elemental reaction system, but in the early going of the game, you will find that it's more button presses than necessary. You will find that if you do something like this with your main character, you will be doing so much damage that the extra mechanics are going to be not that important or necessary. But later on, well, I can actually show you. You can see how combat evolves just by going into the events and doing a trial. So I didn't do Child's trial run. So let's do Tartaglia's trial run here. Now, when you do your trial, you only have 2 characters. In this case, you have Kea and you have Tartaglia. If you use your trick with Alt, if you press Escape, you're not going to see your menu when you're in a domain. But if you hold down Alt, you can use your mouse. And you can take a look at the characters here. You are given a level 80 Tartaglia with a level 80 bow, a full set of the Braveheart. You also get Kea, who has an 80 out of 80. So you get to see huge numbers. So Tartaglia is a Hydro-based bow user. I have this character on my main account, but I've not done this part. Let's see how he fights. So Kea, in that situation, I was going to try to freeze them there. Oh yeah, his attack is like really cool. It just kind of he just flows through them like water. Let's check out his Q ability here. Now these character trials actually can teach you a lot about combat early on as well, because they're not extremely easy and they are going to give you a huge amount of bonus to do it. But you'll find that when you just start smashing your ultimates. Wow. That's some damage. Quel dommage. He has this stance switching, which is just so awesome. Like, the AoE is so cool, man. Like, I feel like if I didn't have Fischl, I would have built this probably very similar. Now, we go back into the events, and this is where you need to go back and claim it. Claim that. 20 primos. Thanks for showing me something new, game. But anyway, you will see that the future of the game is more about doing really good DPS and good elemental combinations. But at first, just enjoy owning. Just enjoy owning with these starter tips. All right, my friends, so hopefully you are ready to own in this game. You will find that your level 20 character with your level 20 sword and as many levels as you can pump into that feather, because take it all the way to 12. You will find that this character and any character that equips those weapons will obliterate anything in the game up until about adventure rank 15 or 20 safely. And by then, you might have a new favorite weapon, better weapons, maybe some luck from your wishes. Don't feel bad if you didn't get something you wanted. You can easily restart the tutorial and do what I just did. It took me about an hour and a half. I got the 14 rolls, didn't get a legendary, but hey, I could do it again and try to re-roll it again. And a lot of people do this. Again, for free to play, it's all about beating the system, but it's a long commitment of time. Otherwise, enjoy your early rolls. You can do anything with any character for a really long time, and I find this game very relaxing, very fun to play, and it's been very fun to play on stream. Hope you've enjoyed it as well, and hope you've enjoyed these early tips. If you stayed around and watched this far, thanks so much, and I'll see you for another Genshin Impact video a little